Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we're rolling along on this Tuesday night 6-game slate here tonight, Nate. In this one, we're taking a look at the Mavs headed to LA, taking on the Lakers, struggling as we know. I think we're about done betting on the Lakers. Not sure yet, but we'll talk about this one here, some best bets in it. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com as well with some best bets and player props in there for you. And make sure to like and subscribe to that page, as we've got a couple other videos up for you today, including that player props video that we will look to turn the ship around. A tough night to start the week, just one win out there, but we will look to continue to cruise well above 500 as we remain roughly 40 games above 500 since January 1st. Look to cruise along with you. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Lakers, we might be done betting on them. They might be done considering contending this season, considering how they've been playing lately. They open as 4-point underdogs at home. It's now up to 5.5 points. That total 216, 217, depending where you see it. You got to think under there, the way Dallas plays defense, the way Lakers struggle to score. But 5 other games to look at here tonight. Pistons are +3 at the Wizards. The Hawks are +7 now at Boston. That total creeping up to 227. The Nets and Raptors play the second leg of a home and home. They're in Toronto, so still no Kyrie Irving. Looks like they might not have Andre Drummond additionally, but no props up yet for that one. Raptors are -9. The other game we break down is Warriors -1.5 now at Minnesota. That opened as a pick'em. And then the Clippers are -7 at Houston, total of 230 there. So, the Lakers, we keep trying to get ahead of the curve with some sort of LeBron-led turnaround, and it's just not happening.
It's coming.
Just not enough support around him. I think dysfunctional at best, downright terrible at worst is how you describe this team right now.
Here.
Lost 9 of their last 12 straight up. -5 net rating in that span. Not really any better at home. In fact, worse on offense at home. 25th in offensive rating with a 105 per 100 possessions average. They're scoring 105 points per game in those contests. And 13 and 20 against the spread at home over the course of the season, because they used to be overvalued based on name recognition. But Dallas, still not getting as much value as much credit as they should, you'd think, having won 7 of their last 9 and covered in 8 of those. We addressed them at Utah, and they did not win that game, but they did cover, as showing a lot of consistency on the road lately. On the season, 18 and 12 against the spread on the road. On the season, 24 and 13 against the spread on normal rest. They're in the middle of an impressive road trip here, which they beat the Warriors, the Heat, and the Pelicans, and covered at Utah. Those are 4 really tough places to play. Their offensive rating is near 120, which is way up from where they started on the season. Defense down a little bit in terms of guarding the paint, but their 3-point defense is 3rd in the league, I believe, in their last 6 games, and their 3-point offense is 1st. So that's really where we're hinging on, because the Lakers, after showing some good 3-point D while Anthony Davis was active, have fallen out of the bottom there, allowing 38% from deep in their last 3 games. So Dallas, they should have their way on offense, but their way is usually a snail's pace, which is why they go under so often. I really like a teaser here for that reason, to get the total up to 220 or a little higher, and then get the Mavs at -1.5 or so, depending where that line is.
Okay. I'm not against it. I just don't think you need it, at least for the spread anyway. The total, to your point, they've been going under, these teams. I believe 6 of their last 8 matchups have gone under, and 6 of the last 8 Lakers games as well. Same number there have gone under and we've been looking for some overs occasionally in LA when they're playing there, as their defense is just so bad, and their offense is but it's bad. It's all bad. So it's not, there's no really room for points. I think we look at who because we like the Mavs so much with this spread, without it, whatever. I think that does bode well for an under, just because they will be controlling the pace of this game. As we know, since they traded Porzingis, and really, I mean, look, they didn't get a ton back, but they got enough so far this year that, in those 6 games, they're 4-2. They've covered 5 of those 6. They're playing, as you mentioned, snail's pace, at a pace of 94 possessions per 100, which is, I believe, 13 possessions less than the team playing at the fastest pace right now in the league. So, they're 3-3 against the total in that time, going over, under. But at the same time, this is an LA team that I think they're going to be able to shut down. When you look at how well they're playing against the D, you mentioned that they're the number 1 3-point defense in the league over their last 3 specifically. They've also upped their 3-point shooting, right? Like we know now that they are the number 1 team in terms of percentage points from 3 at 43% since that trade. Not shocking when you've got guys like Davis Bertans coming over here, and obviously you're losing guys like Kristaps. But at the same time, it's interesting. The next closest team, Utah, we know loves to shoot threes too. 39% of their threes. So, Dallas far and away the most highest percentage of points off their threes lately, and really not trying to score in the paint at all. The third least percentage of the amount of their points in the paint. They've also obviously gotten worse down low as a result. 26th in their rebound percentage since that trade. But no worries there against LA, who is the 3rd worst rebounding team at home this season. Allowing teams to gobble up boards at a ridiculous pace. So yeah, I think the Mavs as road favorites, 8-5 against the spread in those situations. That's the only situation where they're actually at 500 in terms of against the total. When they are the away favorite, they're 6-1 against that total. So they're hitting over under about the same amount. That's why this one does make me a little scared. I would prefer to tease the total if we're going to tease things, and I'm perfectly fine to tease the Mavs down to 1. I would take them probably all the way up to about 6.5. But at the same time, still not worried about but still a little bit worried about that total at 216, that I would feel really, really good about getting it to 220 rather. I don't think the Lakers are capable of scoring 110 points tonight against these Mavs, which makes you feel pretty good about that under at 220. And, it's hovering right around 216. So, last thing I would say here is just even the Lakers, you mentioned they're playing at home. We should at least throw out there, they're now 10-13 on the season without AD. Their defensive rating, which was, it was worse, but it's even more worse. Now it's defensive rating that's 4 points higher without him per 100. Offensive rating that's also 5 points higher per 100 without him. But that's been dropping since he's been out more. It used to be that it was about like 8 points per 100. They were better on offense by about 8 points per 100. But that's dropped, right down to where it should be now, about 5. So I don't see any advantage anywhere on the floor for the Lakers. They have failed to cover the spread at home by an average of 4 points a game. So, either way, this spread is not what we're worried about here. I'm just going to go ahead and smash that, which I did last night when it was 3.5. Sorry that you guys don't have that available anymore. But I would say, like I said, you can still take it up to 6. And if you want to get in there with the total, then maybe tease it up a bit, but just feel really, really good about this spread tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers are projected for 105.5. So, yeah, probably not getting to 110. And I don't see Dallas as the type of team to win, just running away with a 120 plus score. So do feel good about the under. As you mentioned, it's hit frequently in their recent meetings. Their last 3 meetings have averaged 209. And Dallas has been an under machine on the, in any situation this season. But when favored, they're 21-11 to the under. And 23-11 following a win. They're on a roll right now. They have the 4th best defensive rating in that 9-game span. And just, Luka, is it fair to say they might have the best player on the floor at this point? I mean, LeBron is perpetually questionable. He can use his sore knee as whatever excuse to maybe eventually shut it down this season and just say, you know what, this is not our year. I think we're spiraling that way with these Lakers. I'm done. That was my last stand when they played the Clippers, to say, okay, they're going to turn it around. LeBron's going to show some pride and preserve this season. He can't do it on his own. And it might be time for him to think about the miles on the tires and looking ahead of the future here. Dallas is a little bit more juicy of a team to back when they're underdogs. I really like that when they're not expected to do well, that's when they tend to come out and explode. But that's why I'm leaning towards the teaser. I don't necessarily trust them to win by a wide margin because of the way they play. It's so slow. It's often low scoring, but that's why I do like the under along with them winning. And maybe, if you like the total where it is, just fine. Then just take that Mavs money line and hit a straight parlay because when they win, they tend to go under.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, I think it is time. Yeah. Just side note, if I was the Lakers and I'm not, but if I was, I mean, what's the point of not shutting LeBron down? Why would you not do that? Give him, extend him at least another season or two. Don't even worry about this play-in game. Like, you're not going anywhere. If I'm LeBron, especially, I'm chasing 6 rings. I'm not chasing anything other than that at this point. So I can be in the conversation with Michael, which I still don't believe he is. So, I think that would be the play if I was them. I don't know that that's obviously where they're at. They continue to throw guys out there who are veterans and young guys alike, still just getting as many minutes. But, the last thing I would say about that under is, Luka has not played super well against the Lakers as of late. I know he's been destroying the Western Conference, as we talked about in the last time we talked about the Mavs when they covered against the Jazz and the way he's averaging over 40 against Western Conference opponents. But yeah, against in LA, rather, in his last 3 against the Lakers in LA, 24 points, 8 boards, and 6 assists a game, shooting 43% from the field, 28% from 3. So not great numbers for Luka. Very inefficient. A lot of shots, a lot of misses, not very many points. I'm still not worried about him, carrying this team to a win and having, guys around him getting those assists, whatever. But I would just say the fact that he's not, he has not been going off for his 35, 12, and 8, or anything to that extent. It does make you feel like, okay, cool, that there's not going to be that many points scored when you've got a guy with a usage rate around 30% who's not putting up as good of numbers against his team in LA. I think you feel even better about an under, but still fear not about that spread at all. So Mavs to win tonight and should be able to handle business. And that is all the time that we have for you in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page and check out those other couple videos we have for you on this Tuesday night slate. And until we see you next, happy betting.